What's up, guys? It's Jim with Awakened TCG, bringing you guys another One Piece TCG Sim video today. And today we are hopping back on one of the new OP-09 leaders. You've probably already seen by the title, we are playing Lim, Green, and Purple from OP-09, which is definitely, if I had to bet money on the next 09 leader I would have made a video on, this was not the one. I made a Robin video in my last video because I thought that deck was a lot of fun to play. I was also looking forward to Shanks and a lot of these other decks, but I started looking into Lim. Everybody kind of overlooked this leader. Nobody thinks it's going to be worth anything for the most part, but I found out this leader has some sauce. I am not losing a lot on this deck. For comparison, I was playing Nico Robin, and I was honestly losing a decent amount of my games. Lim, on the other hand, surprisingly not really. This leader is destroying the competition right now, and I honestly don't know why. Well, I do know why, but I'm just surprised it actually works so well. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys why I think this leader is actually going to be towards the upper half of the best leaders in OP-09. That might be a very bold claim, but I think the two curves it has going first and second are very strong, both in their own rights. So with that being said, let's go ahead and run through this deck list real quick. So obviously, if you don't know what Lim does, you're going to rest 3 Dawn. You're going to be able to play out a 5-cost Odyssey character, 5-cost or below, and then get a rested Dawn. So we are cheating out characters, basically, while also ramping Dawn. So you can kind of see it as like a mixture of red, purple Uta, who needs to trash a card to get a rested Dawn. Also with like something like an Iceberg that's going to cheat out 5-drop characters for 1 minus Dawn. This one is going to be rest 3 Dawn, which I'd say is a lot more of a cost, but still playing on 5 costs and ramping for 3 Dawn is very, very good. The only catch, if you can see on the leader already, all your characters, no matter how you play them, are going to interplay as rested, right? Which means your opponent can now attack into them, and you are now not getting any cards from life. You're getting starved out of hand, which is what I thought originally. Then it seemed really bad. But I want you to think about it this way. Most of the characters we're playing out are 6k power, right? The majority of these characters are 6k power, which means if your opponent does want to attack into them, that is now requiring attached Dawn. What does this mean? This means if they were to attach that Dawn already, now we actually have to counter out less, whereas if that 6k was at lead, it would require a 2k. Now going into one of these, it only requires a 1k. Also, if they are attaching a Dawn, they are not playing cards on curve. So if they do want to play something on curve, they are not swinging into our board anyway, which mitigates this downside a bit. So this is only when you're playing the 6ks, but it's pretty much all I'm playing early, and that's why we have so many. But with that being said, we obviously have to run the Odyssey stuff. Let's go over what we are running in the deck. It is going to be 3-cost Lim here, is our searcher. It is just a 3/5 body that also searches the top 5. Now, this would be really bad, as I was saying, because they can just swing into this instead of your leader, get free value. However, this one has the ability, if you have 3 or more rested characters in play, you can set this character as active. So this actually mitigates its own downside by always ensuring that it's active, right? So they can never swing into Lim. They can only remove it with effects. So very, very good card. And you may say, oh, it's going to be hard to have 3 rested characters on board. No, actually, it's really not. You'd be surprised. You will see in the gameplay, but 3 characters on board is actually really easy to get, especially when you start throwing in stuff like the 1-drop Law, which if they don't want on board, they're going to have to swing in with leader, which does not feel good. Sorry, a little bit of sidetrack there. Let's get into the rest of the Odyssey stuff. It's going to be the new 5/6 Luffy here, which is going to be if you have 2 rested characters, you can rest one of your opponent's cost 6 or lower characters, or one of your opponent's Dawn cards. So I really never do the Dawn card. It's mostly just the rested character, which is really good to attack into their board and either deny them a blocker or just get counter out of their hand. Really solid card. Not great to play first because usually it's going to be your only character on the board, so it's not getting its effect. But yeah, with that being said, pretty great card, especially when going for game. You can play this for 3 Dawn, rest the blocker, and then, the rest is history. Next up here, we have our new Odyssey 2K. This is actually our only Odyssey 2K included in OP-09. We do have one more right here as audio, but this one, I'm not even going to really go over it. This is really only for the 2K. This one, though, actually has a good use. So Ace basically is going to be on play if you have 2 or more rested characters, very similar to Luffy. You can rest one of your opponent's cost 5 or lower characters. So kind of a weaker Luffy effect, but it's usually the same thing. Most decks don't really have 6 cost blockers, usually at 5. So this is going to be 3 Dawn, rest a blocker in the late game. Really solid for a 2K. Next up here, let's get into our 5 drops. Again here, it's going to be Don Quixote do Flamingo. This is one of the best cards in the deck. This is going to be a 5/6 blocker. That's going to read, if you have 2 or more rested characters in play, set this character as active. So this is basically a 5/6 that you can always attack with. That is going to restand itself and make itself a blocker as well, which is very similar to the 7-drop kid from the green starter deck, except obviously a lot cheaper and you do not have to attach it on. So love this card. One of our best 5 drops to play by far. Also, to note, our only blocker, but we really don't find ourselves needing blockers as a lot of our boards always rested anyway. So they're kind of attacking into our board and giving us like quote unquote blocks anyway. Next up here we have Sanji. Sanji is going to be another 5/6. On KO, you can put the top or bottom card of your life into your hand. Play up to 1 4 or lower character with the Odyssey or Shroud Crew type from your trash into play as rested. So this one, I'm not going to lie, is only being played for its 6K stat line. We don't really have any other 5/6s in the Odyssey archetype that are playable or worth playing. So this is really just for the stat line. However, there are some cheeky things you can do with the on-KO effect. If your opponent, say, is at a very low life total and they are going to KO this card, you can actually play either a Nico Robin from your trash, which obviously you need to take a life. So this is only if you're not in a spot to die. So you can actually get a 5K out to attack with afterwards. Or the really cool play I like to do, you can play this 3-cost Usopp if you have 8 or more Dawn on your field and rest one of their blockers to go for game on the next turn. So you can do a lot of cool stuff with this, but realistically it doesn't come up a lot, if ever. So this is mainly just to play 6Ks out early off of leader effect. Next here we have Sabo. Sabo is another 5/6 with the effect when attacking once per turn. If you have 3 or more rested characters in play, draw 1 card. So this one, most of them are 2 or more rested, which is very easy. 3 or more is actually a little bit harder because obviously this is including itself. You don't need 3 separate characters. All these include themselves. So basically you need 2 other rested characters and then you need to swing with Sabo, which will obviously be rested on attack, and then you can draw a card. So kind of similar to the 3/4 Raizo from OP-01. This one though, really, really good because if we can get cards like Law out, you can get 3 rested characters pretty easily and then basically draw yourself a card for free, no cost included other than just having those rested characters. So very, very nice card. Next up for the Odyssey characters here, we have Sakazuki. Now Sakazuki is a 6 cost, which is not playable off leader effect, and honestly one of the worst numbers not to be playable off leader effect, as it is kind of like just out of 5 range. But this card is way too good not to run. When I saw this card at first, I was like, yeah, it's okay. But when playing this card, it is actually fantastic. So this card is going to be on play if you have 2 or more rested characters in play. KO up to 1 of your opponent's 5 or lower characters. Now, this is a very rare effect in green because green usually only KOs rested characters. This, if you didn't catch it the first time, can KO any 5 costs, active or rested. So very, very good card, as if we go first, you can ramp on your first turn, 3 Dawn. Sorry, your second turn. Play out a 6K, whatever you want. Ramp a Dawn to 4. Next turn you'll be on 6, and you can actually play this out after swinging with your character on board, KOing whatever they just played on their last turn, which is a really solid combo. Getting 2 good bodies on board and removing theirs is really, really strong. So also comes in handy in the late game. There's a lot of 5 or lowers in this game, and Sakazuki is going to hit them all with relative ease, as he does count himself as a rested character when you play him out of hand. So really, really good card. And last up for our Odyssey cards here, we have the new SR Audio. Audio is great because going first, you can ramp into him after 2 turns, right? Turn 1, you're going from 3 to 4. So next turn you'll be on 6, and then you go from 6 to 7. So next turn you will be on 9. So you can play Audio for 9, and then he's going to set up 3 of your Dawn as active, right? Which basically means this card is a 6 cost, 9,000 power, really good. And then he has a really nice effect to rest one of your Dawn, and then one of your leader or characters gains 2,000 power, and this is on your opponent's attack. So basically a free 2k at the cost of leaving up one Dawn, but no cards out of hand, which is the big thing there. So really solid card. Not the most amazing card. We'll get into those a little later. But let's go ahead and get into the rest of our package here. We have a 1-cost Trafalgar Law, another new card in OP-09. This is a new Straw Hat Searcher for purple. Also can search Heart Pirates. We aren't using that aspect. And it's going to put the rest at the bottom. This is only a top 4, and it is only cost 2 or greater cards. So you actually can't search anything 1 or below. Very interesting. I'm actually not sure why they added that, but it does not end up mattering in this deck. So just a searcher to play early. Also a really nice target if you need an extra rested card from one of your effects here. It's very cheap to play out. Get a rested card and then do one of those effects. So really, really love Law in this deck. Very good early, especially when going first. And then off of Law, we have a searchable 2k Usohachi. Really, really good card. Also included right before OP-09 and SD18. This is going to rest a 5 or less when you have 8 or more Dawn, only for 3 Dawn. So very similar to the Ace here. For 3 Dawn, you're going to play out either of these guys and be able to rest the blocker and do what you need to do. So really solid 2k, but again, mostly using it for 2k. Only will play this out when going for game for the most part. Next up here, we have 0-cost Gum Gum Jet Gatling. This deck actually runs a decent amount of bricks, so we kind of need to get those out of hand a lot of the time and convert them into counter. This card is actually not searchable, even though it is a Straw Hat card, as it is below 2 cost. So we cannot search it out, but it is still necessary to have. Also, the trigger comes in handy a lot. So with that all being said, let's get into the stars of this deck. This deck profile has gone on for a bit too long. Let's talk about 9-cost Zoro. So this is a fantastic card because in most decks this card is played in, it is unsearchable and it is kind of slow. In this deck, the speed we can get to 9 is insane, and the consistency we can get this in hand from our searcher is really, really good. So basically, same as I was talking about with audio earlier, if you're going first, this is your guy on curve, right? Because you can ramp to 4 and then to 7. Next turn you're on 9. You play Zoro. When your opponent just passed to you on, I think that is 6 Dawn for them, and then you'll pass back to them on 8 after you already played a 9-drop Zoro. So really, really scary card. It does get played rested, so if they really want it dead, they can kind of just attach all their Dawn to what they have on board. You know, if they do that, that's fine, because sometimes you'll have another one in hand, you could just play it back to back, and they just kind of wasted the whole turn. But this is a devastating card to get out that early, as it's basically going to end the game on the spot. This card has always been insane when it can't get removed, and the odds an opponent can remove it on 8 Dawn are usually pretty low. So with that being said, yeah, best card going first, but not so amazing going second. But we do have another card that is so amazing going second, and that is 10-drop Kaido and Lin Lin from OP-08. This card is pretty much unplayed in every purple deck. But in this deck, the consistency you can ramp with no cost from hand is really, really good, which means going second, we can go from 4 Dawn to 5 Dawn. Next turn, you're on 7. You go from 7 Dawn to 8 Dawn. So on our next turn, when we should have been on 8, we are now playing a 10-drop Kaido and Lin Lin and passing back to our opponent, who will only be on 9 Dawn at that point, and their game will basically be over if they cannot remove this card. You may say this can remove your entire board, so it's actually not that great. It does heal and trash a life, but it does KO your own board. But that is where Robin comes in. I did not talk about her because I only really want to talk about her for this instance. She's good into black, but mainly she is for this combo. Robin's going to be if you have 2 or more rested characters in play. Till the end of your opponent's next turn, all of your characters with the Odyssey or Straw Hat crew type can't be KO'd by effects. Which means when we do our Lin Lin effect and swing, this Robin is going to protect our entire board from being KO'd. This card is so good. This combo it's ended me a lot of games, let's just say that. Obviously, this card can get removed. I'd say blue is one of our worst matchups because of that fact. But playing it out that early a lot of the time is going to make this card really hard to get rid of. And if they don't get rid of it, if we get this win attacking off, the game is completely over. So with that being said, this deck is a whole lot of fun. Honestly, talked about it for way too long. It's been about 15 minutes now. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into some games. Looks like we're going to be going against a Nami here, which is a pretty interesting matchup. I do see the Kaido and Linlin, which means I'm probably going to keep this. Don't really think this is going to be a bad matchup for us, I'm not going to lie. We're just going to use, we could attack here, but I think I'm not going to. I'm just going to gain a rest of Dawn and play out a Sanji. So if he does want to swing into that, that is going to require one Dawn at the very least. And there is going to be a Nojiko. Now that is something you do not see every day. So we will play the Lim, looking at top 5 here, and it looks like we're going to grab, I think the Luffy is better. I'll do leader effect, we will gain one rest of Dawn, and then we will play out the Sanji once again. Do not want him to know what is in our hand. So now at this point, he is going to play the Margaret, which, ooh, he's going to play double Margaret, which means we get free attacks this turn. So we're going to go 5, because with no Dawn up, these are just Value Town at this moment in time. That's going to be another 5. That is going to be a block from him. He definitely is going to regret that as we play this down. And I think he's going to realize that he should have saved those blockers with his life. But, you know, you live and you learn. So what we're going to do here is we are going to... I think we're going to play the audio. We are just going to do that. Set 3 Dawn as active. We will do our leader effect. We'll gain no Dawn because it actually does not matter. And we will play out a Doflamingo. And just going to in turn re-scanning the Dofi here. Just amassing a massive board before he can actually do anything about it. He will play down the Kaya and another blocker, which is very interesting. So with that being said, I'm kind of just going to go all on Zoro here and triple swing, because that is how you play this matchup. And there's really not a lot Nami can do about it, because if he does counter out of these swings, you are not ready for my 4 other incoming swings. If you do, oh, he's just going to do a White Snake and take it. Okay. Interesting. We'll go 16 again. He is going to block. Completely fine. We will set him as an active. Go 16 once again. If he leaves Dawn up here, I'm not attacking. If he uses it all, I'm going to attack. That's basically how we're playing this. And he is going to counter out of this one, it appears, into a Gabble, into a Love, and now he actually does not have any Dawn to use, so we're going to go ahead and swing, get some free value here. He will take that one. He does get an Impo down trigger, which is a little rough, but honestly, I think he's dead to Zoro next turn anyway, so it really doesn't matter. And at this point, yeah, he's going to play down another blocker, which means I think I'm going to have to rest it. Yeah. So we're going to play the Usopp over Lim here. We're going to rest that blocker. And then just go ahead and go 13 lead. We will restand, putting him in the same position as the last turn. And he is going to actually take that after using some cards, which is an interesting play for sure. And we can actually get value by swinging into this Boodle, which is really nice as well. So he'll go up to 11, up to 13, still requires one more card. Let's go ahead and attack into this Boodle. He will not be blocking on the next turn. We'll go ahead, swing with audio first. He is going to take, and then we'll set Zoro as active, going 13. I don't really think there's a way to get out of this, unless you have like double Gabble. But it does not appear he does, so that is going to be the game. And it looks like we're going to be going against a red Sanji right now, so I'm definitely going to choose to go first. We want our best curve right now. But I do not love this hand. We are going to mulligan. And we do draw into a Sakazuki and a Law. That is a very, very nice curve for us. We're going to actually whiff off the Law, which is a little rough. That actually does not happen too often. You'd be surprised. But it is going to happen to us. So you live and you deal with it. So 2 Dawn here, he's going to play nothing, which means we will just be going 5. And playing out the Sabo. That is really the only play here. So we're going to gain 1 rest of Dawn and play out the Sabo. At this point, let's go ahead and see what he decides to do. If he does play a Rusher, I think he's only going to be able to swing into Sabo once. If it is a 7K, say like a Zoro Rusher, we're probably gonna have to give it, unfortunately. That is gonna be a Sanji, so he is gonna take the life here. Swing into Sabo most likely, which is completely fine with us. You can go ahead and have that. Taking life is very, very risky against this deck. I probably would not advise to do that. And we do draw into another Sabo, so that's actually really nice. So let's go 5 into the Sanji. We'll definitely just give that to us. And then we're gonna play the Limb. And let's grab ourselves, we have no 2Ks right now, so I think we're gonna grab an Ace, and then I'm going to actually get arrested on here. Honestly, yeah, we'll just play the Sabo again. I do think he is gonna play something that's gonna threaten this, but I think it's really our only play there. We could play the Sanji. That wouldn't have done us much. I really wish we found a Law off the Zoro, because, a Zoro off the Law. Because the Zoro on this next turn would be really, really nice. And yeah, he's going to play Pell. Pell really doesn't do much. Just going to go, I guess, yes, 7 into Limb. What am I playing is the question. I think I'm just going to do Leader Effect and a Sokka. So yeah, he can have the Limb. That's completely fine. And I am, oh, he's actually not going to swing. I don't think there was any reason to do that. Is he trying to starve me? I couldn't tell you. We're going to go 5 at his lead. And we will be doing Leader Effect here. Probably dropping a Sanji. We'll gain 1 Rested Dawn and drop the Sanji, followed by the Sakazuki to KO here, which means with 3 Rested on board, we actually get a draw off of the Sabo effect here. Very, very nice. He does have the 2K, which is a little rough, but I'm honestly just going to drop the Kaido and Linlin next turn and put him on into me next turn or lose. That is the plan at the very least. Wapol is most likely going to swing into the Sabo. Probably doesn't want me to draw again, if I had to guess. Oh, he's going to go into the Sakazuki. Very interesting. Does not want the 7K on board. I can understand that as well. And he is going to go 6 into 6, which means we only have to give him a 2K. Sorry, a 1K. And we do draw into the Sokka. Unfortunately, I think I'm just playing Kaido Linlin this turn, so we're going to go 5 to lead. Most likely going to counter this if I was him. I think you really have to. And then we're going to go ahead and go 6 with Sanji. If he does not have a 2K, he's probably going to take this. If he does have a 2K, I'd probably counter out while I can. Obviously, he does not know what's coming, but you can expect big things if I'm leaving 10 down up. Zoro or whatever else. He's going to take the 6. I assume that means he doesn't have a 2K. We're going to play the Kaido Linlin, draw with Sabo. We do draw into the Zoro. Honestly, a bit too late. We're definitely going to be going for game on the next turn. But with that being said, he's going to take the 6 again after I play the Kaido Linlin. That definitely means he has no counter in hand. So this game is ending on the next turn, and there's really no doubt about it. So he's probably going to go 8. I'm not really sure. This only buffs to 8 and would minus this to 10. So I'm not sure what we're going for there. Gonna need to attach a little more Dawn. Oh, it actually buff itself to 9. Apologies. Forgot about the attached Dawn here. Definitely thinking this one over. I think he wants to spend 9 on something, but he's realizing he can't attack into this if he does do that. So putting himself in a rough spot. You got to think, I'm going to clear your board regardless. I'm going to end the game regardless. So you need to get rid of this, right? That's just the facts. There's no doubt about it. I can basically start attaching Dawn. If you take, I'm just going to go the rest on this. I don't even need to use effect. And if you do not take, I can just use those attached Dawn that I already used on for this effect. So he's going to actually do the 2020 Chopper plus the Wapol. Going to drop this down to, I think that's 7. Do we have the counter for it is the question. He's going to go lead first. Minusing Sabo. Sure, I'll take. I'm guessing he's going to try to end me with Kid and Killer or something. I'm really not sure. So we'll take that. I'm honestly pretty lost on what he's trying to do right now. You could go 5 and then a Kid and Killer, but like that's never winning the game. Oh, he did a Fire Fist. Interesting. Question is, do I have a target to play off of Sanji? Unfortunately, I don't, so I'm not going to. And this game is over on the next turn. Okay. 6, we'll just take. We know we only have one more turn anyway, so we're just going to go for it. We'll go 9. And he'll probably take. I don't think he had the counter last turn anyway. We don't even need to use Kaido effect. I think the only trigger that could possibly save him here is like a Red Hawk trigger. He is going to counter out. Yeah, which means this game is just a wrap. We will return 10 Dawn here. We will gain 1 life and trash his, going 12. And that is going to be the game. Kaido Lin showing its power, obviously, against a deck with no removal. It's going to look very good. But, and also on the wrong curve. We did go first this game. This is a going second curve, and we did get it going first. But I think our opponent's reading the card right now. And that is going to be the game. And for our last game today, we are actually going to get to go into the Buggy. He is going to get the going first as well. But I actually do like my hand, so I am going to keep. We do get the Law early, and we have a lot of good targets, so we are going to keep. I don't know how good this matchup is. I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty bad, if I'm going to be honest. We do see the Zoro as our only target, so we are going to grab it. And he can actually swing into the Law here as well, which is a little rough. He definitely got his best start. And from this point, he doesn't really have anything to play on 3 Dawn other than Pilaf. So he'll go 2 into 2. Obviously, we will give him that. And he is going to do the Cross Guild event and most likely swing 7. Let's see what he decides to grab. I think your best grab here is like always 7-drop Croc. I think that is pretty much the card that makes this deck even work. But let's go ahead and see what he decides to do. He's going to grab a 2K, which is always a good grab there. At least we have the information. He's going to do actually a double Cross Guild. Wow, somebody had the best starting hand in the world. So very, very good for him. Going to draw an Alvida, which is one of the less scary cards, to be honest. And he will follow it up with a 6K swing. So we are just going to go ahead and go 6 at lead. And we are going to play a 6K Sabo out. So the good thing about this is he's on 5. He definitely wants to use leader effects, play that Croc, which means he's not swinging into the Sabo. So this is going to get us a draw next turn. And we are going to get to play 2 bodies out, 1 limb, and 1 of these. We'll see which we decide to do. Probably the Luffy, honestly, because I want him to actually give us cards out of hand. So there is the 5 to lead. We'll give him 1 of these Sanjis. And here comes the leader effect into Croc. Hopefully he does not play a 7K off the Crocodile. That would be pretty rough, because we actually couldn't really swing into it. But we're going to see what he actually decides to do. There is, he's going to trash the Alvida into the Croc, into a 6K Alvida. Okay, not bad. So with that, let's go ahead and play Limb off of these. Honestly, I'll grab a 2K. I don't have a 2K in hand right now. And then we'll do our leader effect. We'll gain 1 rest of Dawn and play Luffy here, resting Alvida. And we're just going to go 6 and do it twice. Just try to get some cards out of his hand. And if he does want to use Alvida effect, you know, that's great. That's another card out of your hand. And I will take it. Sabo going to bring us up to 7 cards in hand here as well. Does kind of play into Pudding, but really not too big of a deal. He is going to give us a 2K, which definitely means he does not have any good 1Ks in hand. He actually gave us 2 2Ks. So this deck wants to build board into a Buggy. That is kind of their MO. So thankfully we do have the Sakazuki in hand. Obviously I do have the Zoro, but with Buggy being a card, I don't really know if it's the best call in this matchup. I think the Sakazuki into another 3 is much better. So we'll see what he decides to do. Another Croc here is obviously our worst case. He will swing into Sabo. We'll give him that 2K that we just searched off of the limb. He's going to go 6K probably again into the Sabo if I had to guess. He's going to go 6K to lead. Okay, we'll take that one. We do get another 2K. We'll go 5 into lead. That is going to be a Sanji 1K. And with 7 Dawn, he's going to play an Ivankov into an Inazuma. Now, that is not what I expected, I'm going to be honest. honestly, very, very interesting play. Did not see that one coming. So let's start swinging, because now I actually can't remove these. I think I'm only going to spend Dawn on Sakazuki, as I kind of need to get rid of multiple things to not allow him to play Buggy next turn. So I think we'll go 6 into the Alvita right now. Kind of baiting cards out of hand. And then, yeah, we're gonna go another 6 as well. Hopefully he counters out of this one. If he does, we get the good Sakazuki play. If I was him, I would counter, or not counter out, because obviously I'm trying to swing into your Croc. He can use Alvita effect if he wants to bring out another 5 cost from hand. I think he's actually thinking about doing that right now, which we're just gonna KO with Sakazuki, so very nice for us. And with that, oh, he's actually going to think about playing a Richie, I guess. I don't think there's a point to ever play Richie here. And he also wouldn't have the Buggy yet. If this was not the Buggy and this was a Richie, we actually wouldn't be worried anyway. And I don't know if he actually knows. Oh, he actually can look at the top 5 and play a Richie. I didn't even know that. That's kind of cool. It's kind of like, what's his name? Om Holy. So kind of a cool effect there on Moji, also a 2K. I didn't actually know it was a search. Obviously Richie's only a 2-cost blocker, so he's not all that great, but still kind of cool. So we'll swing a Croc. If this is a counter, he's gonna have to give it to us, which it is not, so we'll play the Sakazuki, KO the Moji, and pass to him. So at this point, not a lot of cards in hand. Obviously you have the Inazuma still, but we're just gonna swing into board again. So you're in a little bit of a rough spot. We now have double 2K in hand as well. And I think I want to do audio into something else. We'll see. We'll see if I do the Zoro or the audio. I think I'll decide based on the board state. And he definitely wants to get rid of the Sabo. Or maybe he'll start going lead. I really don't know. We will see what he decides to do. Because obviously we have a decent amount of cards in hand, but with 2 7Ks on board, you're in a good spot to actually start kind of swinging into leader. We put him in a position where you're really never playing a Buggy. He will go 6 into Sabo. I'm going to counter that out. We'll do a Robin and an Usopp. Maybe should have done Ace instead. I don't really think it matters. I'm actually going to counter out of this one as well. I'm completely okay with countering out for Sabo because he is just going to draw us cards after the fact. So if he wants to swing into Sabo again for 7, we will just decide to give him that. That's completely fine. And then from there, I think he's just going to probably play a 5-drop. Which means we can just play Zoro, kind of swing into board. We'll play it by ear. Or we can play audio. Oh, he is going to play the Buggy. Interesting. So he will bottom deck our 7K, draw himself 2 cards. So he's basically praying that those cards are counter. Let's go ahead and test that theory. So we're going to swing 7 into Inazuma right now. Obviously, wanting to rip cards out of this hand. So him countering out of that, unfortunately, kind of means this is my only play this turn. I just need to ensure we kill both of these guys on board, which we are going to do. And this one, we are probably just going to go all in as well. Just want to remove that board completely. Starve this guy out as much as we can. That could have been the wrong play, honestly. Maybe the right play was to kind of swing into leader, play a Zoro, but I think if I do that, I'm dead. Obviously, I have 3K and a 1K, but a little risky. Because I think if I play the Zoro, he immediately knows that he needs to actually swing for lead. So we will see what he decides to play here. Obviously, only with 2 cards in hand and no Inazuma at this point, you're in a pretty bad spot. I kind of like the Inazuma tech in the deck as you're running low on hand size a lot, it seems. As you need to discard from leader effect and you're just kind of throwing cards out of hand. But I think a lot more people are running the 3-cost Sanji's Pilaf. I think that's a lot cheaper and a lot more consistent at the very least. We'll swing into Limb, that's going to be an easy give. And with 8 Dawn, I'm actually not sure what you're doing with 8 Dawn. unless it's like a Sanji's Pilaf, like I was saying earlier, into a 5 cost. I'm really unsure. So we're going to counter out of this because we're probably just going to end up playing Zoro. And if this 5 cost is like a Croc, that's going to be a little annoying. Is he like debating using a Buggy? I don't know why he'd be thinking so hard. Because if he uses another Buggy here, he's actually going to do a Dawes Bones. That's one of his best targets, there's no doubt. But if he does play the Dawes Bones, I don't really think we're in any situation where we lose next turn. So let's just go, I think... Do we go a lead or do we go with this guy? I think we go a lead. We want him to take. We want him to think he wants cards in hand, and then we're going to play the Zoro. He's going to actually counter. Interesting. That's fine. We'll go 7. And we'll play the Zoro down, passing to him. So this is 3 swings, and leader is 1 swing. So as long as he doesn't remove the Zoro or play a blocker, we can actually end this game. Then there are a multitude of cards that we can actually draw to deal with the blocker. I don't think this deck actually runs any 5-drop blockers, to be honest. He's definitely searching here. This is going to search for a Buggy. He 100% needs a Buggy to get rid of this. And he is going to draw a 2K at the very least, so we know he has a 2K in hand. And then from here, I would assume he just kind of goes a lot on Dawes Bones, goes for Zoro. So to swing 11, which is the number you need to swing, he needs to put 5 on. And then he would actually have 4 left, which means he can go a perfect 9 if I ended up countering out, which would be a little annoying. So he's actually going to only go 8 at Luffy. That one I will definitely not counter out of. And with 7 Dawn remaining, what are you going to play? I'm really unsure. He's going to go 7 to lead. We will definitely take that one. This is probably a Buggy, honestly. I think he did draw it. This is going to be 2 cards at hand if it is. It is the Buggy. That's fine. We will, so we can either, I think we have to do audio into blocker here. That's a little rough, actually. Playing Zoro, we probably lose. Because Dawes Bones most likely stays on board. He definitely left a counter in his hand. Very awkward matchup, I'm not going to lie. So we're going to go 5 lead. And then we're going to play a audio, set 3 as active, and then use leader effect to play a Dofi. So this way, I have 1 up for a free 2K. And I think I still win next turn regardless. Whereas if I played the Zoro, obviously I would have won next turn, but I don't have nearly as much defense. So let's see what he does. I think if he knows he can't remove the board, he's probably going to have to go for game right now. There's really no other option. But let's see how he approaches this. Question is, if he swings 7 with Dawes Bones, do I take it? That's obviously a little risky. There's a lot of cards that can remove this Dofi, but I think the cheapest one he would realistically run is going to be like 5 Dawn for a Buggy or 7 Dawn for a... what is that event? Oh, he has another Buggy. Okay, so he's... And the fact that he got rid of that means he's going for game here. So 2 of these swings need to land. This one I'm actually going to let through. I could counter out, but I don't want him to know that. So we'll actually do no blocker here, and we will take. And with this, we have a 2K, a 3K, and another free 2K. But he's going to go all 9. We will use card action. We will give +2 here, and then we'll do no blocker, getting rid of the Zoro, going to 10. Unfortunately, we do not win just yet, which is the problem. We actually are at 0. And I don't know if there's a way to live. Yeah, so him removing that Dofi means we actually can't go for a game because there are no rush cards in this deck, which means this is pretty much wraps. So I'm going to go ahead and say GG, and that is going to be the game. 3 Buggies. That was definitely a high roll for him. And that is going to be the video, guys. Lim was a lot of fun today. Unfortunately, had a little rough game at the end there, but that is going to happen. No deck is invincible, especially this one. Although I do think it is very fun and honestly pretty decent. I don't really think this is going to be like any type of meta-breaking deck. This thing is going to be like low tier 2, but more likely than not tier 3. But that's honestly way better than I thought it was going to be honest with you guys. So this deck's a lot of fun. I'll have the list in the comments if anybody actually cares to try it out. But with that being said, This has been Jim with Awaken TCG. You guys have a great day. I'm going to head out of here. Peace.